Hey, good top of the morning to you, whosoever's. Today is the August 22nd, 2020. A lot of people don't like to mention 2020. It's been such a bad year. They say everybody says it's been such a bad year. So we're gonna go over. This is the beginning of the end, part 13, the rise of Russia. You might be asking yourself, why is God against Russia? Well, one of the reasons why we know that the Bible says in the end times, as we get closer to the Ezekiel 38 war, that the Jewish nation will be attacked by the Gog of Magog and his alliance of Syria and Iran and Turkey. People say, "Oh, Turkey's NATO." Well, the Bible prophecy says otherwise. What is one of the reasons why the nation of the Russia really becomes the factor of receiving God's wrath? Well, it says here, another factor that evokes the wrath of God against Russia and her leaders is their mistreatment of the Jews. This will be discussed in later detail, but it is enough to say that the Russian stands second only to Adolf Hitler in the cruelty to the Jews as we get into the last days. God has already proclaimed that Israel in his delight, that I am against them that are against thee. Therefore it is clear why Russia qualifies for the indictment, I am against thee, O Gog. The third and most significant reason for dogmatically identifying Rosh, or the land of Magog, Meshech, and Tubal as Russia is its geological location. When the Bible gives geological directions, it lists them in relations to Israel. When the writer says south, it means the Philistine. If it indicates the east, it really means the east of Philistine. Consequently, when we see the uttermost part of the north, Ezekiel 38:15 and Ezekiel 39:2, it is clear that the nation would only be Russia. In order to verify this, we need only to take a world map or globe and draw a line straight north of Israel. The entire uttermost part of the north is covered by the Soviet Union, or USSR, or Russia. When all three of these factors are taken into consideration, the only nation in the history of the world which comes close to fulfilling the description in Russia, one of the most dominant nations on the globe today. Verification that the prophecy is on the verge of fulfillment can be obtained with the notice that, according to Ezekiel 38:5 and 6, Gog's confederates are among the current friends of Russia. These are not precisely within her circle or being lured into the orbit of influence. Turning again to Hal Lindsey, which I listen to a lot. Oh, it's gonna be hot, smoky out here. This is from a quotation from the book of Hal Lindsey concerning Persia. All authorities agree that Persia is today, it is the modern Iran. This is significant because it is being wooed to join the United Arab Republic and its hostilities against Israel. The Russians are at the moment seeking to gain footholds in Iran through Syria by various overtures of aid in order to mount a large-scale invasion predicted by Ezekiel. Russia would need Iran as an ally. It would be much more difficult to move a large land army across the Caucasus Mountains that border Turkey than the Elburz Mountains that border Iran. So I guess Russia borders Turkey and Iran. The Bible says Turkey and Iran will join forces with the Russians to attack Israel. That's pretty conceivable. Okay. Watch the nation of Iran in relation to Russia and the United Arab Republic. The writer believes that significant things will soon happen there. Ethiopia is a translation of the Hebrew word Cush. Cush was the first son of Ham, one of the many sons of Noah from the Bible. Moses mentions the land of Cush as originally being adjacent to the area of the Tigris and Euphrates River. After examining many authorities on the subject, the writer discovered once again why Dr. Gesenius is recognized as one of the greatest scholars of history. Gesenius summarized all the evidence as follows. The Cushites were black men. They migrated first to the Arabian Peninsula and then across the Red Sea to the South Sea of Egypt. All the black people of Africa are descended from Cush. Cush is translated Ethiopia 21 times in the King James Version, which is somewhat misleading. It is certain that the ancient Ethiopians, modern Abyssinians, Abyssinia, are made up of Cushites, but they do not represent all of them according to history. The sobering conclusion is this: many of the African nations will be united and allied with the Russians in the invasion of Israel. Boko Haram in Africa, they're in Somalia and some countries in Africa. They want to kill all the Christians and kick them all out. I was watching in the news last week, and they want a caliphate. They want their own version of Islam. According to the Bible, some of these African nations will attack Israel also. Okay. Okay, the sobering conclusion is this: many of the African nations will be united and allied with the Russians in the invasion of Israel. This is accord to Daniel's graphic description of the invasion. Here, Ezekiel 11, verse 36 through 45. Here, the Russian force is called the King of the North, and Africa, Cush, is called the King of the South. Okay, so, King of the South. So these are the bad guys. One of the most active areas for the communist gospel is in Africa. As we will see further developments in the area of the future, we realize that it will become converted to Islam. Libya is a translation of the original Hebrew word put. We have some problems pinpointing these people as the Cush, but is the third son of Ham. Genesis chapter 10, verse 6. The descendants of Put migrated to the land west of Egypt and became the source of the North African Arab nations such as Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco. The first settlement of Put was called Libya by the ancient historians Josephus and Pliny. The Greek translation of the Hebrew Old Testament, called the Septuagint, translates Put as Libya in about 165 BC. The conclusion is that Russia's allies Put certainly include more than what is called Libya. Once again, there are current events to show the beginning of an alliance. The territory of the North Africa is becoming solidary pro-Soviet. Algeria appears to be already communist and allied to Russia. As we watch the area in the next couple years, remember this was written in 1972, but the prophecies still apply to today, where we see Russia and Iran and Turkey making kind of like that alliance, and then some African nations are going to attack Israel. Remember, this is all getting the world set up to that Ezekiel 38-39 war, and then the rise of the Antichrist. We'll see this here, okay? Then there's Gomer, the eldest of the son of Japheth, the father of Ashkenaz, Repa, and Togarmah. These people make up an extremely important part of the future Russian invasion force. Dr. Young, citing the best and most recent archaeological finds, says that Gomer and his hordes, they settled on the north of the Black Sea and then spread themselves southward, eastward, and extremities of Europe. Josephus speaks of part of Gomer's hordes as being Ashkenaz, the proper name of the region, and the nation in northern Asia sprung from the Cimmerians, who are ancient people of Gomer. The modern Jews understand it to be Germany and call the country by the Hebrew name. Josephus calls the sons of Ashmat and Riga, and the map of the ancient Roman Empire places them in the area of modern Poland, Czechoslovakia, and East Germany to the banks of the Kuban River. The modern Jewish Talmud confirms the same geological picture. The conclusion is that Gomer and his hordes are part of the vast area of modern Eastern Europe, which is totally behind the Iron Curtain. This includes East Germany and the Soviet countries. Remember, this was in 1972, before the Germans became free. I don't know everything, but we're going over this. The reason why we're going over this is to show, if it happens, when it happens, how correct these old preachers were concerning the end times. Okay, in Ezekiel 38, the house, verse 6, the house of Togmah and its hordes are especially pointed out of being from the outmost north. Okay, some of the sons of Togash founded Armenia according to their own claims of Genesis continued. Dr. Brunham traces evidence of some of the sons of Tobash and Kirchash tribes in Eastern Asia. Okay, Ezekiel indicates that he hasn't given a complete list of allies. Enough is given, however, to amaze us with the number of people and nations which would be involved. Ezekiel prophetically addresses the Russian ruler, commands him, "Be prepared, yes, prepare yourself, you all in your companies that are assembled about you, and you in your pilified." In other words, the Russian ruler so equipped his confederates with arms to assume command. Any doubt of interpretation of this chapter may understandably be unnerved by the realization that almost all the countries cited as part of the Great Army are today looking to Russia for weapons of war. We have seen that Russia will arm and equip a vast confederacy. This powerful group of allies will lead an attack on restored Israel. However, Russia and her confederates will be destroyed completely by an act that Israel will recognize as being from God. This stunning deliverance will bring many to Israel to believe in their true Messiah. Ezekiel 38:15. From all that what we will learn, that is a dominant leader in Russia, called Gog and described as the chief prince of Rosh, is going to arise and lead Russia into the vast northern confederacy of nations. I think President Putin is now president for life. So he's probably Gog or Magog. Okay, so we know the Russians are going to rise in all these countries. I think it's going to happen after the United States economy collapses. We're going to be, it's going to collapse for a little bit, only to allow the beast of Revelation to rise from the United States, as they wait for their Messiah, Mr. 666. So may the Lord bless you, be girded, be strengthened. The Lord is coming quickly.